Something deep inside you has always known the truth, even when your mind couldn't explain it. Welcome to TheKIlns, where truth isn't just spoken, it's unearthed. And today's message? It may shake you. It may stir your spirit in a way that nothing else ever has. But it won't do that because of fear, it will do that because of recognition. Because somewhere, in your soul, you already know this world has never made sense without a spiritual explanation. This is not a history lesson. It's not politics. This is not about color the way the world sees color. This is revelation. This is prophecy speaking loud. And for some of you, it's going to answer questions that have been buried in your bloodline for centuries. If you've ever asked, why has darkness always seemed to follow certain people? Why does oppression, injustice, displacement, erasure, even spiritual war, seem almost inherited by Black communities across the world? Then lean in. Today we're lifting the veil. Because what if your pain has purpose? What if the persecution wasn't just unfair, it was strategic? What if what you've been told is history, is really prophecy in disguise? And what if everything Satan has done was out of fear for what you're becoming? Part 1. The burning question that won't go away. There's a question most people are afraid to ask out loud, but once you see it, you can't unsee it. That question is simple, yet it cuts deep. Why does it seem like Black people are the most attacked, misrepresented, and oppressed group on the planet, no matter where they are? Look across the map. Whether in Africa, North America, the Caribbean, South America, Europe, the Pacific Islands, or the Middle East, you'll notice something chilling. A pattern. A relentless similarity that defies randomness. Colonized in one place, enslaved in another, vilified elsewhere, dispossessed here, discredited there. And yet, the thread is unbroken. The pattern is global. The pain is universal. The targeting is systematic. The injustice? Multigenerational. This isn't just racism. This isn't cultural coincidence. This is spiritual warfare on a global scale. Wake up to this. Nothing that is universal is accidental. Every spiritual assault has a spiritual threat behind it. So, if Black people are targeted globally and historically, there is something about Black people that hell is trying to suppress. And that something isn't their skin. It's their identity, their role, their destiny, their calling, their covenant. Part 2. More than skin. This is about covenant. Let me make one thing unapologetically clear. Satan doesn't hate you because you're Black. He hates you because you're marked. Marked with something ancient. Marked with something God-given. Marked with something Satan cannot replicate, and therefore must try to extinguish. This is war. Not for land or wealth or skin color. This is a war over prophecy. A war over promise. A war over purpose. And you need to understand this. Satan only attacks what threatens him. He only fights what carries prophetic weight. He doesn't waste his arsenal on the irrelevant, he targets the anointed. Which means, if hell has followed you, it's because heaven called you. And if your story is covered in suffering, it may be because your bloodline is covered in destiny. Part 3. The prophecy hid in plain sight. Now let's rewind. Back to the days of Moses. Deuteronomy, chapter 28. God outlines an unfathomably detailed prophecy about the children of Israel. He says this to them: if you disobey my commandments, you'll be scattered among the nations. Strangers will rule over you. You'll lose your names, heritage, and language. You'll be driven into slavery again, this time by ships. You'll be oppressed so harshly that your condition would be a wonder, a byword to all nations. Now pause. Tell me, what group of people in human history has fulfilled every single one of those exact conditions? Who was taken in ships across oceans? Sold into slavery and dehumanized for generations? Stripped of their identity, heritage, and names? Scattered globally with generational trauma? seen not as human but only as property or threat. The answer isn't hard once you stop being afraid to see it. This isn't history. This is prophetic fulfillment unfolding right before our eyes. You're not just reading scripture. You are the continuation of it. Part 4. The bloodline that stirs fear in hell. If all of this is prophetic, if the black diaspora represents the lost, scattered children of the house of Israel, then it changes everything. Because that means the people who have been positioned at the bottom of society are in fact the people God once placed at the center of his divine plan. That's why Satan fights you harder. That's why oppressive systems don't rest. That's why media spends billions shaping your image as dangerous, lazy, criminal, or foolish. That's why educational systems erase your history or rewrite it. It all goes back to identity. Because once your identity as a covenant people becomes clear, chains break. Not just physical ones, but mental, spiritual, and generational. The moment you know who you are, oppression loses its grip. That's why Satan didn't just stop at slavery. He went after your future. Your men. Your women. Your families. Your memory. He didn't just want to break your body, he wanted to delete your blueprint. But he failed. Part 5. When the black man rises. Why are black men the targets of force, framing, incarceration, emasculation, and erasure the world over? Look at this pattern through colonization, through slavery, through pop culture. What's been the most attacked image? The image of the black man. Let me tell you a secret the enemy didn't want revealed. Pharaoh feared Hebrew males. Herod feared the newborn king. Satan fears black men who awaken. When the black man knows who he is not simply a male. He is a messenger, a protector, a patriarch, a prophet, a royal priesthood. That's why generational attacks have been leveled against him. That's why his voice is silenced before he even learns to speak. Because within him is seed that births generations. Seed that revives nations. Seed that breaks curses. Seed that Satan cannot stop, unless it's never watered. But something is happening now. The bones that were once dry are beginning to shake. The men who once bowed their heads in defeat are rising in fire. The eyes that were once blind are beginning to see. The black man is awakening. And Satan is trembling. Part 6. The prophecy in 01 taught you. Genesis 15 verse 13. To understand why Satan hates you, to understand why the systems seem rigged, why the pain has followed your people from one continent to another, why global empires seem to rise by breaking your back, you have to go back, way back, to a sacred moment, 3,000 years before ships crossed the Atlantic. A moment when God whispered a mystery to a man named Abram. Know this for certain. Your descendants will be strangers in a land that is not their own, and they will be enslaved and oppressed for 400 years. But afterward, I will judge the nation they serve, and they will come out with great possessions. Genesis 15 verses 13 to 14. Read that again carefully. A chosen lineage enslaved for 400 years in a foreign land, oppressed, judged by God, and afterward? A divine shift. A release. A rise. Now stop and look around. Do you think that was just about ancient Egypt? That was a shadow, a glimpse, a blueprint. But prophecy doesn't stop in the past, it completes itself in the future. The word of God echoes through generations. And this generation, is the one living in the aftermath. Part 7. 400 years, from ships to shifting seasons. Let's do something the enemy doesn't want you to do. Start the clock. If you begin at the early 1600s, where the first recorded African slaves were brought to the shores of the Americas, Virginia, 1619, and you fast forward 400 years, you arrive at 2019. That year marked not just a cultural moment, but a prophetic milestone. It didn't come with thunder from heaven, it came subtly, quiet, hidden, because God hides prophecy in the details the world overlooks. But what happened next? Governments began shaking. Viruses locked the world in silence. Economies collapsed. Protests exploded globally. A global conversation on race, injustice, identity, heritage, and truth emerged from every corner of the earth. That wasn't just politics. That wasn't just social unrest. That was spiritual warfare responding to spiritual awakening. Because at the 400-year mark, the afterward began. But afterward, I will judge the nation they served. And they will come out with possessions. Satan knew the time. He knew he was out of sand. He knew something ancient had clicked into place. And he panicked. Part 8. The Strategy of Silence. How Satan hid the awakening. We often ask, why don't more people know this? The real question is, who benefits from your ignorance? Because if you suddenly realized you're not just black, if you stopped living life as a victim and began seeing yourself as a prophetic people, if you began praying with the knowledge that your DNA carries covenant, if you began walking like your walk matched the walk of kings, prophets, and a chosen lineage, hell would lose power overnight. That's why Satan's primary weapon has never just been violence. It has been deception. It has been distraction. It has been a global attempt to erase spiritual memory. He couldn't change your bloodline, so he disguised it. He couldn't destroy your DNA, so he rewrote your history. He couldn't stop your destiny, so he tried to disconnect you from it. How? He created theology that devours its own origin. He distorted history to make you feel like outsiders to your own story. He whitewashed the image of Christ himself, erasing his bronze skin and wool hair. Revelation 1 verses 14 to 15. He passed laws and built nations off your backs, then told you, you don't belong. He redefined chosen so you'd never dare apply the word to your people. And generation after generation, he taught you to survive but never seek your roots. Because roots restore identity. And identity revives authority. Part 9. If Satan knows you're Israel, why don't you? Let's pause here. Ask yourself, if national, historical, and spiritual evidence suggests you match the description of ancient Israel, why has no one told you? Why were you never told that slavery by ships was in the Bible? Why were you told Deuteronomy was only for ancient times, when it continues to match the black experience more accurately than any history book? Why has every identity been offered to black people except the one with spiritual power? They've called you African American, Afro-Caribbean, minority, third world, ghetto, slave, Negro, urban, colored, underprivileged, black, sub-Saharan, mixed, nothing. But they haven't called you the one name Satan is terrified of: Israel, covenant child, the scattered nation, the ones the prophets saw, the dry bones about to rise, the people God refused to forget, no matter what the world did to them. Because the moment black people realize they are not just a skin tone but a scattered royal priesthood, the spiritual hierarchy of this world begins to implode. And that's exactly what's happening now. Part 10. Ezekiel's vision is happening now. Let's shift from Deuteronomy to the book of Ezekiel. Chapter 37. A prophet stands in a valley. The ground is dry. Bones everywhere. No life left. No sound. Just remains. And then God says, "Son of man, can these bones live?" Ezekiel answers, "Only you know, Lord." So God says, "Prophesy to these bones. Tell them to hear the word of the Lord." And suddenly, the bones began to shake, rattling into alignment, muscles forming, flesh rising, breath returning. It wasn't just resurrection. It was restoration of identity, a scattered people finally refinding themselves. These bones, God says, are the whole house of Israel. They say, "Our bones are dried up, and our hope is gone. But I will bring you out of your graves. I will place you in your own land. And you will know that I am the Lord." Ezekiel 37 verses 11 to 14. Do you feel it? The bones us are rattling. The graves built by slavery, stolen history, and generational trauma are shaking open. What was once lost is being remembered. The buried truth is standing. And nothing can stop it now. Part 11. The enemy's greatest lie. You're just black for hundreds of years. The world's message to black people has been loud and consistent. You're just black. Just a color. Just descendants of slaves. Just Africans who lost their way. Your story was compressed into chains. Your identity reduced to melanin. Your history rewritten with missing pages, lost languages, silent screams. But let me declare a divine truth the enemy has tried to bury since Babylon. You are not just black. You are a chosen people with a legacy so dangerous to hell's kingdom that Satan had to erase it to keep you from rising. Let the world redefine, while heaven restores. Man judged your skin without knowing your roots, but God watches over his promises, even when they're buried under centuries of trauma. Part 12. The prophecy repeats. The second Exodus is coming. Let me take you even deeper. If the first Exodus was about bringing one enslaved nation out of one empire, then the second Exodus, foretold by Jeremiah, Isaiah, and Ezekiel, is far, far bigger. Look what God said in Jeremiah 16 verses 14 to 15. The days are coming, declares the Lord, when it will no longer be said, as surely as the Lord lives, who brought the Israelites up out of Egypt, but as surely as the Lord lives, who brought the descendants of Israel up out of the land of the north and out of all the countries where he had banished them. For I will restore them to the land I gave their ancestors. Let that sink in. God himself says there's a greater deliverance coming than even the one with Moses. Not just from Egypt, but from every nation, every coast the ships scattered you to. Not just from Pharaoh, but from systems and powers that built themselves on your backs. This move won't just be political. It won't come through legislation or reparations. It will be divine, a supernatural migration, a spiritual withdrawal, an awakening of the remnant, the return of the royal. And it's already beginning. Part 13. Come out of Babylon. The call to awaken. You cannot rise in Babylon and be free. You cannot wear the chains of a distorted culture and walk in divine power. The rise of black people is not just political reform or racial equality. That dream is too small for what God is doing. This is not civil rights, it's soul restoration. This is not power for a few, it's a kingdom-level revival. But to walk in that, you must come out of Babylon. Come out of her, my people, so that you do not share in her sins, so that you will not receive any of her plagues. Revelation 18 verse. For the world has trained you to desire what doesn't serve you, wealth without wisdom, fame without faith, culture without covenant, identity with no spirit, entertainment over enlightenment. But here's the danger. You cannot conquer what you worship. Babylon was never built to celebrate you. It was built to enslave and erase you. And yet, God says, come out. You see, the greatest form of slavery isn't physical chains. It's mental compromise. It's loving the empire that stole your name. It's settling for survival while your calling is waiting. Part 14. This is the endgame. The rise of the remnant. Now allow me to be clear. We are living in the last phase of a long war. This is the season of separation. This is the rise of the remnant. Those who remember. Those who return to covenant. Those who put down the lies and pick up the truth. Those who no longer call themselves lost, but scattered royal blood. You've been told to forget who you are. But I came to remind you, you are Abraham's seed, heirs to the promise, scattered Israel, Ezekiel's bones, the children of Zion they tried to erase. You're not starting from scratch. You're continuing prophecy. And in Revelation 7, John the Revelator saw you. I saw 144,000 sealed, 12,000 from every tribe of Israel, and after that, I saw a multitude no one could count, from every nation, tribe, people and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb. This is not fantasy. This is your family reunion. But you can't walk into prophecy asleep. You must wake up. Wake up from the lies. Wake up from religion without revelation. Wake up from culture without covenant. Part 15. The final warning. Prophecy is not optional. Let me leave you with this warning. Satan doesn't work overtime unless God is about to move overtime. If hell is increasing the pressure, it's because heaven is preparing the outpour. But not everyone will receive it. Some will hold tight to the lies. Some will cling to comfort instead of covenant. Some will prefer Egypt's food to the wilderness of freedom. But not you. Because you're not just a viewer. You're not just someone watching a video. You're one of the called. One of the awakened. And if you let this truth sink in, you'll never be the same. Closing. The decision is now, so what now? That depends on you. You can ignore this, go back to the numb routine. Scroll. Binge. Forget. Or, you can stop. Breathe. Let the truth wash over you like a flood. You are not who this world said you are. You were not born to just survive, you were born to fulfill prophecy. Kings run in your veins. Prophets sleep in your DNA. Covenants roar in your breath. The Spirit of Yah has not forgotten you. You are rising. The question isn't, will it happen? The question is, will you be part of it? Because prophecy isn't automatic. It's inherited. And the inheritance belongs to the awakened. So take your place. Pray like your ancestors did. Repent like you're coming back from exile. Lead your family, your children, your community, like Moses in a new era. Return to the scriptures. Return to covenant. Return to identity. Return to purpose. Because the bones are rattling. The chosen are rising. And hell cannot stop what heaven has already ordained. Final declaration. Read aloud. Let viewers say it with you. Say this with me. Out loud. I am not what Babylon called me. I am who God created me to be. I carry covenant in my soul. My bloodline is prophetic. My identity is ancient. My awakening is now. I am not lost. I am rising. I am Israel. Be sure to like, comment, and share this message with those you love. We are reviving bone by bone, voice by voice. The world may still try to silence this revelation. But it's too late. The awakening has begun. Welcome to the return of a people. Welcome to the rise of the remnant. Welcome to your destiny. This is TheKIlns.